And kicking the card off with the first fight of the night, we got a fight that definitely should be a banger, MaShata versus Nicholas Mota, but from a betting perspective, I think it's a little bit of a tough one. You know, we got two guys that are dangerous, they got knockout power, but I don't think they're super proven in terms of being the highest level fighter. I mean, both these guys I think leave a lot of openings, and I feel as if there's going to be path to victory for both of them. You look at MaShata, he is the younger guy. He's 24. Mota's 31, so that's a pretty big advantage for him, along with the size, 6 foot to 5'9". But both these guys like to counter strike. Mota, he loads up with 3-2s, 2-3s, and MaShata, he likes to stay long, throw counter 1-2s, throw knees, try to be a little bit more diverse, but throw mainly strikes up the middle, whereas Mota's throwing a lot of big hooks. And he's a fighter, MaShata, who's proven to be a little bit more durable, I think. He's been knocked down and been able to come back, or rocked and came back, whereas Mota, we've seen him knocked out bad a couple of times now. And I think MaShata is going to have to change it up a little bit. He really doesn't use a jab that effectively. He doesn't really have good head movement. MaShata tends to get clipped with counter hooks, and he definitely could put Mota out if he can intercept him with the rear cross. But it's just going to be down to who lands first. I mean, if he tries to stick in that pocket and gets clipped with that check hook before he can land that rear cross, we could see MaShata go down. But I don't see either guy wrestling here. I don't really think anyone's even going to attempt it. It's going to be a stand and bang fest, and I think MaShata could differentiate himself a little bit if he can mix in his kicks, because I don't think Mota has the best kick defense. Mota will just try to, catch the kicks and take you down. Even though his last fight was close, MaShata's, it was a split decision against Gabriel Benitez. I feel like he threw a lot of kicks. He was a little more active with his weapons and did look a little bit better with the stand-up. I feel like unless he gets taken out in the first half of the fight, he's probably going to be able to take over and come back and get the win here. MaShata isn't necessarily the most powerful guy. A lot of his wins are decisions. But you look at Nicholas Mota, every single loss that he's had, he's gotten finished. So I'm kind of thinking he's going to get tired, and MaShata is going to be able to overwhelm him, find that chin, second round, third round, and going to go with MaShata. But I feel like this is kind of a dogger pass, because I feel like the line's a little bit wide, personally, and I do believe that Mota has that knockout threat. MaShata is still a little unproven, so I would mostly just stay away from that fight, but as a pick, I would go with MaShata there. And second fight of the night here, we got Long Xiao. He's taking on Quang Lee. And Quang Lee, dangerous power striker. He is definitely the better counter puncher. And he's more rooted to the ground. He doesn't move all that much. And if you stand in the pocket with him, that's the danger zone. He's really sharp with his punch counters. He can knock guys out with one punch. Plus, he has nice head kicks, even in close. And he was able to do decent versus Chris Gutierrez early on the feet, but really struggled in the stand-up for the most part. He got chopped with a lot of leg kicks, and Gutierrez was able to angle and land on him and get the victory via decision there. Lee caught a couple kicks and got some takedowns off of it, but on the feet, he couldn't really get anything going. I do think he's a good striker, but if you can be all the way in and all the way out against him, not really stay in the pocket, you can nullify a lot of what Quang Lee likes to do. And Quang Lee has good grappling. His wrestling, I would say, is a little average, but he has good takedown defense against the cage. He could take guys down with kick catches. He can kind of jump on the back from standing pretty well. And 3 submission wins from the back mount, so that's obviously where he wants to be. I did see a fight where I thought he lost against Sal Guerrero, where he got grinded on. But he has great cardio. He was doing damage against the fence with elbow short punches when he was getting controlled there. And if you slow down, Quang Lee will pick it up. I think Lee has potential, but it's hard to say at 33 if he's going to be able to make big improvements or anything like that. But Xiao Long, explosive fighter. I feel he's well rounded, and one of the main things I like for him in this matchup is he's been forged to the fire, man. I mean, Long has fought 35 times, which with these Chinese guys, it's not as important because they have a lot of fights early, but he's fought in the Contender Series, Road to UFC, he's fought in the UFC. Quang Lee's fought in LFA, but for the most part, against low-level opposition. He did have that hard debut versus Chris Gutierrez, but outside of that, he doesn't really have the same level caliber of opponent that Long does. Long has a lot of losses, but that doesn't really tell the full story either. He started off his fight career 9-7. Since that 9-7 start in the last 6 years, he's gone 17-2. His last loss was a split decision, so he could be 18-1. The one fight that he lost by unanimous decision was versus Christian Quinones, who hasn't done the greatest in the UFC, but is a way different fighter than Quang Lee. Quinones, he's much more of a mover. He has better footwork, and Long is also only 26. So at that time, he was 23 years old when that fight happened. And I think that all that experience at a young age is going to pay dividends eventually, and it could be on Saturday night. But Xiao Long on the feet, good in and out movement. I feel like he has the better footwork here. Stays active with kicks, big hooks, big uppercuts. Very durable guy. But we have seen him get hurt before, and you don't want to take punches from a guy like Quang Lee. We really haven't gotten to see the striking of Long of late too much because fighters he's been matched against really have just tried to take him down. So this one, I think we're going to get to see his striking a little bit more. And I think it'll be a good showcase for him. And Xiao Long, he has good takedown defense. He's dangerous with knees, elbows on the inside. And I feel like he's the better wrestler here. He's had to go up against some really good grapplers recently and done well. So I feel like Lee isn't going to be able to get his back or do much there. But the one way I could see Xiao Long losing this fight by bad fight IQ is trying to push Lee against the fence and taking damage, kind of being ineffective with the grappling and losing that way. But Long is at home. I think the travel is a big deal. It could affect Quang Lee's cardio. And Long definitely has a gas tank. He has 9 submission wins. He's never been submitted, so obviously that's a good sign there. And he's just a strong fighter for the weight. He's very physical. And I feel like Quang Lee's a popular underdog this week. He has good stand-up. He has that death touch, but he's older. He's lower volume. He's not as physical. I don't really like relying on a knockout, especially at these lighter weights. And Lee is used to, just hitting guys and having them fall down because they're not that great. And I feel like Xiao is durable. He's going to fight hard. Kind of trust him to win minutes here, especially in China. I think this is a good spot for Xiao Long to go out here and get this victory. So give me Xiao Long to get this win versus Quang Lee. And next fight on the card, we got an amazing matchup here. Not sure why the picture's like that, but whatever. But we got Loner Kavanagh taking on Jose Ochoa. And Kavanagh, he took full advantage of this Contender Series opportunity in August. He was fighting another undefeated opponent and treated him like a scrub, man. I mean, he knocked him out in 2 minutes and 35 seconds, so has a lot of hype coming in here. 7-0. And if he can win this fight, I feel like he's going to jump up the rankings pretty quick. The UFC's given him a chance to fight in China. I know that's a big deal for him. He represents China when he fights. And he's a high-level striker, Loner Kavanagh. He has over 10 years of MMA fighting experience, and he has more experience in striking even before that. And he has super fast and hard kicks. He throws heavy calf kicks, good front kicks to the body, great head kicks. He's also a little more rooted. He uses less in and out movement. He wants to try to slowly, methodically pressure you, cut the cage off, get you in the pocket, and use his timing, use his eyes. Nasty counter 3-2s. Good at landing big single shot counters. And he's just good at finding the chin with his kicks and his punches. Real power for flyweight. He, in his fight with Sean Da Silva, who's a big pressure fighter, I kind of feel like he has a lot of different weapons than Ochoa, but they're a little similar. And you could see that he was giving some problems to Kavanagh. Early on, though, Kavanagh poses extreme danger. He dropped Sean Da Silva multiple times in that fight. He put out Antoine Ho in round 1 on the Contender Series, his last fight. And he can get second, third round finishes, so he can maintain his power, but definitely dangerous in that round one. I'd say he has to have the wrestling advantage, I'd imagine. His takedown defense is excellent. He has a good double leg. Ochoa is a submission threat that's pretty dangerous, so I'm not sure that the smartest strategy for Kavanagh will be to wrestle, but he does have that ability. And Kavanagh has great cardio in his own right. I do think he slows down a hair, and Ochoa is going to be the better conditioned fighter, but both guys have good cardio. And Jose Ochoa, he was going to also fight on the Contender Series earlier this year, but I don't know if it was a visa issue or a small injury, but either way, the UFC has decided to give him this shot. And he's 7-0, 7 finishes, shootbox Diego Lima guy, so he has Charles Oliveira and a myriad of other UFC fighters in that gym. Hasn't really fought anyone great, but everyone he's been in there with, he's taken out within the first 2 rounds. And he fought in the LFA his last fight, beat a 5-0 opponent, which was his best win to date. And he's a pressure fighter, Ochoa. Good footwork. He cuts the cage off. He uses a lot of kicks, jumping attacks. He tries to get you near the fence and then explode in with big actions. He's also good at slipping and ripping with punches, fast hands, fast return combos. His clinch attacks are nasty knees. And he also has good kicks. I mean, front kicks to the body, fast head kicks. He's light on his feet. He can move well. But he's young. He can dig in and make mistakes and kind of brawl, take big punches. And against Loner Kavanagh, that would be the last thing that he wants to do. But his pressure, his volume are elite, just like most shootbox fighters. I like how he varies up his attacks. He's going to the legs, the body, the head. And he's going to be very hard to get out of there. He hasn't shown much grappling, but he had Charles Dubronx in his corner his last fight, got his first submission. His opponent shot in on him, and he showed sick takedown defense, then snatched the neck and got a standing anaconda choke. So I feel like his grappling might be a little underrated. But cardio-wise, he hasn't really shown his cardio. I mean, obviously he's pushing the pace and getting these guys out there quick, but has never been to a third round. And I'm not really worried about him gassing, though. I mean, being with shootbox Diego Lima, all these guys usually have insane cardio, and it's a 125 or a young guy. So unless he has UFC jitters or the travel maybe gets to him or something, I think he's going to be fine. But this fight's a banger, man. I mean, Ochoa's going to bring it, and if he could take the power and actually compete in the pocket, I feel like he's going to get this victory. He has power, but not the same kind of power as Kavanagh, and he's a brawler. Kavanagh picks his shots, really technical. I feel like Ochoa's grappling could play a factor. He maybe could catch another choke or something if Kavanagh forces the wrestling. But I could also see a scenario where Loner gets the first round knockout or does damage early that kind of allows him to dictate the pace of the fight for 3 rounds. I'm going to officially predict Loner Kavanagh to win here because I trust his striking experience and technicality a little bit more. He beat Sean De Silva, who I believe is somewhat of a similar style to Ochoa, but I think both these guys are welcome additions to the UFC. I think they're going to do well, and I think it's a fight where it should be lined a little bit closer, and I do think the value is on Ochoa, but as an official prediction, I'm going to say that Loner Kavanagh goes out there and gets this job done. But continuing on through this card, we got another fight between Carlos Hernandez and Naim Jargo Tumen Demra. And Tumen Demra, super fun fighter to watch. He's extremely aggressive. He's creative, dynamic, powerful. He can grapple too. I think he has Combat Sambo championship victories in his homeland. And he is long. He has long arms. He walks guys down. He will throw big hooks, big uppercuts, super long combos. His last fight, he had like a 50-punch combo to end the fight. And he has some nice kicks. He'll throw creative shots on the inside like elbows, knees. Carlos Hernandez, he moves well. He has solid footwork. He pot shots with his boxing, fast hands, hands high, pretty good head movement. But Hernandez isn't as powerful or as dynamic as Tumen Demra. And he's been knocked out on the feet. So I think he's a little bit vulnerable in this matchup in the stand-up. But Tumen Demra, he will mix in takedowns. He actually has really excellent level changes. And he's a submission hunter. He will go submission over position. He got the choke his last fight. His long arms do give him a good choke threat, but sometimes he will end up on bottom. You don't want to do that versus Hernandez. Hernandez, decent body locks he can control on top, but I don't know if Hernandez can hit takedowns here, honestly. I think Hernandez has to fight smart, look to land counter check hooks, move a lot, and when Demra gets close, he needs to use knees and try to take him down. And for Demra, he needs to do what he does, which is create chaos. I think he's a superior striker, especially in the pocket. He's faster, more powerful, probably equal in the wrestling. And Hernandez is hard to finish on the mat, so I think it could be hard to find a submission for Demra. But, if he loses, I think it's going to be him hunting submissions, ending up on his back and being held down. But cardio-wise, both guys have good conditioning. I think Demra is reckless at times, but it makes him a dangerous fighter. He almost kind of reminds you of like a Jerry Petroska type, even though his offense is a lot different. But I'm going to go with Demra via submission here or knockout. I think he's going to either get a club and sub or early finish. So I'm going to go with the underdog here in Demra to get this win. And continuing through the card here, we got a women's fight between Ming and Fang Jiakon. And, huge favorite in Fang. She looks like she does have really nice striking fluid. She comes with nice straight punches. She walks you down. She wants to use the jab, pull jab, and come with counters. And she's very tall, lengthy. But I'm not super sold on her. I mean, I've seen her get kind of like controlled, get taken down. I saw that she got beat by Na Liang. I mean, so that's a tough one. But Ming, I mean, she has a really nasty head kick. She has fast blitzes. She has that Taekwondo background, and then she'll use her blitzes to blitz into a body lock takedown or into a double and get the takedowns as well. And that has to be her game plan here. On the feet, she's just not going to be competitive. She needs space to be effective, and Fang is long. She cuts the cage off well. She brings that methodical pressure, and I feel like she's going to nullify a lot of the kicks and a lot of what Ming wants to do on the feet. Outside of Ming just exploding with the big head kick or something nasty and catching Fang on the feet, I don't see her having a lot of success, long-term winning minutes. And I just don't think she's going to hit the takedowns. Even though her wrestling isn't bad, I think Fang is getting better. She knows that girls are just going to try to take her down. And I think that Ming, although her wrestling is serviceable, it's not that great. And I think Fang could probably deal with it. So I'm going to say Fang Jiakon wins this one via decision. And that's going to be my prediction in that fight. This next one here, Sahota taking on Dong Choy. I like this fight to go to decision more than anything, honestly. Don't have the greatest read on this fight. Sahota, super tall, lengthy guy for flyweight. He's 5'10", and he's good at using it. I mean, he'll move really well, good footwork, throws a lot of nice kicks. He's looking to pull counter you, use his jab to kind of get reactions and then come with return shots. And he's good at sticking on the outside, but he has that tall man's defense. He doesn't really move his head. If you can close the gap quick and touch him, you can land on him. He has a great chin, though, and the guy will sit down and exchange with you, throw big elbows, throw big punches, and try to back you off if you start to land on him, and it usually is effective because he hits hard too. He's long, and if he's sitting down and willing to bang it out in the pocket, normally he has the power edge. And his wrestling defense looks really good. I mean, he trains out there with Leon Edwards and those guys at that camp, and you could tell that he has good takedown defense against the fence. And I think that for Choy, he's not really going to be effective with the takedowns. He likes to try to close the distance and time these doubles, but he's waiting for the perfect moment. And I think with the length advantage that Sahota has and his initial takedown defense, he could defend a shot, get along the fence if he needs to be, and then go from there to get free. And Choy, super low volume guy. I feel like he relies on landing these counter punches over the top, and I just don't think he's going to be able to match the activity of Sahota. I don't know if he's going to be able to hurt Sahota or be consistent with his offense. And I just feel like Sahota is going to use his kicks to win this fight. So mainly I think it's going to be a kick fest from Sahota, sticking on the outside, point fighting, moving a lot. And I think he can get this job done. So give me Kira Sahota and give me the fight to go to decision in that one. And this next fight, really fun one here. Bayergang Giseli, or Gialisa, taking on Sung Yung Yu. And I like Yu in this fight. I think this is a good matchup for him. Gialisa, he is dangerous at range. He has nice straight punches, but very inactive. I don't think he's the fastest guy. So his striking is kind of not the greatest at range. I feel like Sung Yu, he's good at staying short, compact, kind of have that Mike Tyson style, crouched, moving his head a lot, coming in, and he has that takedown threat, so he feints the level changes a lot, comes over the top with punches, good jab. I feel like he switched stances effectively and lands nice switch stance attacks. And on the feet, it will be competitive because at range, Gialisa is a little sharper. And on the inside, Gialisa is dangerous, man. The guy has nasty elbows, which could be, a factor in this fight. But I feel like he's going to get taken down, and he may defend takedowns initially. His takedown defense isn't bad, but I question his gas tank, man. I think he's going to get tired. I feel like that's going to be the difference in the fight. Sung Yu is not going to get tired. He's going to push that pace with the pressure. He's going to be using the up-down style, mixing in the takedowns. I feel like his wrestling is going to be overpowering in this fight. And I just think he's going to be able to win minutes here pretty clearly, take this victory, and win this decision. So Sung Yung Yu is going to be the prediction for me to win via decision. And kicking off the main card now, we got Mingyang taking on Ozzy Diaz. Terrible fight. Total pass to me. I think someone's going to get knocked out here. And I think Mingyang is the rightful favorite, but no faith in him winning this fight. He went in there, got that knockout over Brenton Ribeiro, but even though his offense is really good, I like this guy's offense, man, for being so big, very fast, extremely technical straight punches. He's moving really well, and he has decent kicks as well. He just brings really good offense, but his offense is his defense, man. He doesn't move his head. He's walking you down. He's going to stand right in front of you most of the time. And if you can land on him and take him out of there, he's vulnerable. You've seen fucking that fake fighter, Ashar Mazarov, knock him out. So it's like, I think that he definitely plays a kill-or-be-killed game. And Ozzy Diaz, the guy, has decent striking in terms of he moves well. He could switch stance. He likes to walk you down, feint fake, use his speed, kind of get you to throw, move out of the way, come back with his own shots, kind of try to point you and be higher volume than you're able to be. But I don't think he has the power of Mingyang, and he doesn't have great defense. And when he gets hit, he gets dropped, he gets hurt. He doesn't have a good chin. We saw him get knocked out by Joe Pyfer. Probably has the better wrestling and grappling, but he doesn't use it. And I haven't seen Mingyang have to defend that whatsoever. I think Mingyang is going to get this knockout, but it's just a total pass because I think that Diaz could knock out Mingyang too, just with Mingyang's reckless style. And I'm just not impressed with either guy here in this matchup. But the next fight that we got on the card, Volkanovski and Ozdemir taking on Carlos Orberg. Great fight, man. I really like this matchmaking. Originally, I was really leaning heavily towards Orberg, and I thought that Ozdemir didn't have much of a chance, and kind of changed my tune in that perspective. I think that it's a closer fight than I initially thought, but I still lead with Carlos Orberg. I feel like Ozdemir, he's good, man. The guy has great pressure. I think he's going to walk Carlos Orberg down to try to get into boxing range, lay those counter hooks over the top, work his leg kicks, and just try to make the fight a battle of attrition where we've seen Orberg slow down. Orberg's chin is a big question mark, man. I feel like the guy hasn't really been tested too much in terms of his toughness, and he has been knocked out cold in a fight in the UFC. So Volkan, if he could start to land a little bit on Orberg, I could see Orberg kind of wilting or getting knocked out. But ultimately, I think Volkan is really slow these days. I think he's gotten a lot slower. He doesn't have a takedown threat, so Carlos Orberg knows that he's going to be walking him down. The most dangerous he ever is going to be early. I think Orberg needs to move. He needs to get those reads. He needs to get the speed down on Volkan and then use his angles and do what he does, man. Cut angles, land the counter punches. If he sees timing, blitz in with big shots, use his kicks, and just be faster, more technical, sharper, throw straighter punches. And I feel like you could find the chin eventually on Uzdemir. I think Uzdemir will slow down. If Uzdemir wins this one, has to be in round one, in my opinion. If he doesn't get it done in the first round, even though I see people talking about Orberg's cardio, pacing, and things like that, maybe it will be a factor. I feel like Uzdemir is going to slow down majorly. His pressure that could potentially be effective in round one will not be as effective, and I think Orberg will start picking him off. And I just think Orberg's going to knock him out either late first or in the second round. So Carlos Orberg is going to be my prediction in that fight. And continued on, Wade Cog versus Gabriela Fernandez. Total pass, man. I mean, Wade Cog is a gigantic favorite. I mean, I get she has great accolades in her striking background. She beat Valentina Shevchenko. She went to a draw with Tiffany Timebomb Van Soos. She has some wins over really other good kickboxers. Plus, her MMA career has been flawless. She showed grappling. She's got that nasty knockout in her UFC debut. But that line is insane, man. I mean, I feel like she hasn't done anything to justify that at this point in her career. Fernandez does have good striking, good pressure. It is a great tailor-made matchup for Wang because obviously I don't think Fernandez is going to be able to take her down or really even try, and she's going to try to walk her down and exchange, which is going to be advantageous for Wang Kong. But I do think that Fernandez has good stand-up and kind of being disrespected a little bit here. I don't really got much to say outside of that because I don't have any interest from a betting perspective. I feel like Wang is going to win more than likely. But this is a fight I could see going to decision, going over. That's a good play I like here. Fernandez has never been finished. Her striking looks pretty solid. She does get tired, which I'm a little worried about. But if you look at Wang Kong, a lot of her wins are decisions. Even in boxing and kickboxing, she has some decision wins in MMA. She didn't get that nasty knockout win in her debut. But I think Fernandez has the ability to go the distance. I think that could be maybe the way to target this fight. Fight goes decision, and I'm going to go with Wang Kong. And we got Song Kenan versus Muslim Salikov to continue this card here. I see this being like a split decision, honestly. I think it's going to be two low volume guys. I think Muslim, he's going to be moving a lot, trying to cut angles, avoid getting hit with that big power because you know that Song Kenan's coming with that big hook over the top, big power in his check hook, big power in the rear cross, rear overhand. And Salikov's chin's a little suspect at this point. So if Song Kenan could walk him down, find that chin, then I think Salikov could go down. But Salikov is going to be moving, throwing more volume. He has really good ability to land counters, angle. And he isn't great in the pocket, but he lands these single shots, he can get out. And if you can't kind of corral him, then he's just going to point fight you all night or eventually catch you with that one shot that knocks you out. For Song Kenan, he does slow down. I think that the leg kicks and just all the activity of Salikov is going to be enough to win him a decision if it gets there. But I do think it'll be competitive because Song Kenan could have moments maybe where he rocks Muslim. I think he'll be pressuring him. And being in China, I'm a little bit nervous that the scorecards could go the other way. And Kenan Song, I think, is a little bit more alive to get the knockout, personally. So I think that Kenan Song is the knockout threat. If he keep it close, he kind of has the robbery threat, and then it could end up being like a split decision fight. So with those three things, I mean, to me, it makes it a pass from a betting perspective. But I just feel like Muslim is the better striker that's going to be more active. He had a bad performance in China versus Li Jingliang, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was another opponent, but I know that he had a lackluster performance out there in China, and that used to be his old home, man. He used to train there, fight there quite often. I think he has a lot of fans there, so he probably wants to rectify that loss. Hirasawa, on the flip side, has done really well when he's gotten to fight over in Asia. He's got these knockouts, but he was set up with easier opponents in those fights. This fight, I think it's a pretty difficult fight. I'm going to say Muslim Salikov via decision, but one of my least confident picks on this card, honestly. And we got the co-main event. We got Yan Xiaonan taking on Tabitha Ricci. Uh, Man, I mean, I've been picking against Tabitha Ricci, and she's been proving me wrong, so I kind of want to pick her here, and I'm going to do it. I mean, Yan Xiaonan, I think that she's a little overrated. I mean, she does have really good striking. She brings that movement. She moves really well. She cuts angles. She's coming with really nice straight punch blitzes. She's coming with that check hook over the top. But her offense on the feet could be a little bit wild and sloppy. And, she does have really nice side kicks. I feel like in this fight, obviously the full game plan is going to be to try to keep the distance, use those side kicks, kind of interrupt Tabitha Ricci with strikes as he's trying to close the gap, and don't let her back you up. Don't let her get a hold of you, and just try to keep it free flowing for the full fight. Tabitha Ricci, I think that I kind of underrated her a little bit because she does have great cardio. Her striking is getting better. I think her boxing is improving. She has some power. I feel like Yan has a lot more power, but Ricci's power is not really talked about. I think she does have a little bit of pop in her shots. But I think that Ricci can mix in some takedowns here, at least some clinch control against the fence, and just be the more aggressive, active fighter. Yan Xiaonan, I mean, a lot of why I'm picking Ricci is outside circumstances. She just fought for the belt. She took a ton of damage in that fight, 35 years old. Does she want to pick herself up off the mat after losing that title fight? And is she going to be able to do it again, get back in the mix again? I mean, I think Ricci has way more motivation, hunger here. She's younger. She's never gotten the money at this point, like fighting for a belt and getting all these higher level opportunities like Yan Xiaonan has had. And I think that if this fight's close on the table, someone has to push a little harder. It'll be Ricci, and I think Ricci can be competitive on the feet and be way better on the ground. And if she can mix in a takedown or two, which her wrestling isn't elite, and that's where the problem lies. If she can't actually get it to the mat, maybe she's going to be stuck on the feet and really struggle. But personally, I just feel like she's going to be able to mix in a takedown at least 1 or 2 rounds here and get this win. And I say Ricci is the value side at plus 155. I kind of feel like it should be closer to a pick'em here. So give me Tabitha Ricci to get this upset in the co-main event there. And finally, we got the main event, Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo. And, I do kind of question a plus 250. Whenever you see a plus 250 line on someone like Deiveson Figueiredo, a former multiple-time UFC champion, you got to kind of look at that. But I just don't see huge path to victory for Deiveson, man. I don't think he could use his style for 5 rounds. He could move pot shot for a little bit. Maybe he'll rock Petr Yan and catch a guillotine or something, but he's used his wrestling a lot in fights in bantamweight to slow the pace down, hold his opponent down, and kind of control and get the win. And with Petr Yan, I just don't see that being available for him. I think Petr's going to shut down the wrestling. He's going to make it a stand-up fight. And Deiveson, I think early on, is going to have the speed edge where he's going to be able to move a lot, be effective, landing counters, maybe even rocking Petr Yan landing some big shots. But we know how sturdy, tough Petr Yan is, how calm, composed he is in the cage. And I think that his cardio and just his effective pressure and his boxing are going to be able to take over the show in this fight. I think that Deiveson is going to slow down. You're going to see Petr Yan work his way into that pocket more, start to land his combinations. He's going to rip the body. He's going to be landing power punches. I think you're going to see Deiveson slow down and eventually get finished in these later rounds. I think Petr Yan is finally going to get back to those finishing ways. We haven't seen Petr get a finish in a long time, and I think that it's time for him to get that finish in this one. I think that Figueiredo's going to break down a little bit. I think Figueiredo's a beast. I mean, the guy's one of the greatest ever at these lighter weight classes, but I think the buck stops here with him. I just think this is a tough matchup, man. I feel like Piotr is going to be able to absorb damage. He's going to be able to get into this boxing range where he's going to be more technical, sharper, hit harder, have more volume. And I think that he's going to be able to defend the takedowns. If he does get taken down, pop right back up. He's going to have the superior cardio. And I just think Piotr Yan is going to be able to get Deiveson Figueiredo out of there in the third, fourth, or fifth rounds. So Piotr Yan is going to be the pick for me. I think he's going to make it 2 wins in a row. He's going to re-announce himself as a player for the title. And we'll see where he goes from here. But give me Piotr Yan. And there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching this full card breakdown of predictions video. UFC China, UFC Macau. And really appreciate it. I'm actually going to be back at 10 p.m. tonight, man. We're going to do a stream. We're going to be doing it more from a betting perspective. I'll give you guys some free bets. Fitz is going to be on with me. It's going to be a good time. And we're probably going to be streaming a little bit of the fights. I mean, they start at midnight Pacific time, so probably would just stay on, stream a couple of fights, maybe help me stay up, you know. So, yeah, man, come check that out. We'd really appreciate that. Thanks for watching this video. And besides that, for my most confident pick on this card, I guess for the most confident pick, I would go with Fang, Xiao Con Fang. I feel like she's going to get this victory here. And for a play of the week, guys, I'll just go with the play of the week of Tumen Demra. I think he is going to get this victory. So play Tumen Demra, get this money, guys. And go to patreon.com/everypickscrew, help support the channel, get access to some bets. I am looking at Cage Warriors right now, Fury. So going to put a couple bets on before those fight cards happen. So thanks for watching, guys, once again. I'll be back soon, and peace out.